just for the sake of argument, let's just say Daniel Jacobs wins that fight last night on HBO pay-per-view against the super champion GENNADY Golovkin. Now here's how that would pan out. First of all, before I get started, I'd like to introduce myself for those of you who have never watched my channel. My name is Eric A. Bradley, aka The Real Fight Doctor, and there is no other on this level. Back to the topic. For the sake of argument, Triple G loses the fight last night. And overcoming all of the tidal waves, the ebbs and flows that go along with explaining that. Let's just say Daniel Jacobs takes the lead. He jumps out 4 straight rounds. He wins 4 straight rounds. Gives himself a couple of rounds off. Then gets back on the guns. Steals another couple of rounds. Takes one off. Wins another one. Then puts his foot back on the pedal. In order for Daniel Jacobs to win that fight last night, he would have had to win 8 rounds. That would have given him a 1-round decision. If he wins 7-5, there was a knockdown, so that would have equaled a draw. Then if the fight pans out as a draw, he loses by 1 because he got knocked down. Think about this. In order to beat Triple G, he had to win 8 rounds to come away with the nod. What's the chances of Daniel Jacobs beating Triple G 8 rounds to 4? Let's look at the entire complexity of what we're talking about here. First, we're talking about the super champion. Stay with me here, because this is all of the windows that were posted inside of Madison Square Garden last night that a lot of people who were watching the fight were unaware of. Let's say, for the sake of argument once again, that the judges are sitting there and they're contemplating. This fight is so even that we have to create some form of difference. Triple G threw more jabs. That's a fact. Daniel Jacobs did more things. That's a fact. But did he do enough to totally eliminate the mystique of Triple G? What falls up under the mystique? First, I wrote several things down because I knew that these things were all important. First, the business cachet of Triple G. What do I mean by that? Not only is Triple G known as a menacing offensive fighter who has such a vivacious offensive prowess in the ring, some have labeled Triple G beast-like, Tyson-like, Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler-like. And if you guys don't know who that is, Google him. Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler. Check your record. The business cachet, like I said a minute ago. This man is doing business with Michael Jordan. The last time I checked, Michael Jordan is a business owner of a franchise. Okay, let me see. You at least have to be a billionaire to do that. So he's in bed with billionaires. Let me just check the stock market. Oh, Apple. He's doing business with Apple. Apple just happens to be the highest stock in value on the market. Business cachet. Look that phrase up. Let me explain another thing. These guys are all sitting down at the country club together, having business meetings together, luncheon, dinners, little cocktails. Let me explain. There's a complexity of things going on that you guys are sometimes overlooking. Whenever these guys sit down, if we went out to lunch this week or even had dinner, Our business partners all have something in common. We're conversating throughout the weeks. So these are the same people that you're dealing with that are on and behind those scenes on the commissions, the judges, the people who are behind the event, HBO. Hey, they might matter. These people are all in bed together. What Daniel Jacobs has to understand is he's not just fighting against Triple G and Coach Sanchez, he's fighting against their relationships as well. That's part of the game. Boxing is a business. Some guys take it as a game. They call it the fight game. It's much more than a game, buddy. There are a lot of elements that come into play in business, in sports, and you must not overlook them. So it's really not anyone's cheating. It's just you get the warm nod by affiliation and association. People that you know, you're very close to. If you're with them and they're competing, you know what they're doing behind the scenes. So just on that alone, you're thinking, all right, they've done enough. Boy, it's going to be hard to beat them. So you're already looking at it with a slightly biased eye. So like I said, it's all about affiliations and who you're associated with. Those things play a big part in events of this magnitude. I was going to make a point, so stay with me on this. If Daniel Jacobs had relationships with Apple, had strong relationships with HBO, and if he had a relationship with Michael Jordan, and let's just add to the equation if he were about to fight Canelo in September, that may weigh in to the decision. Think about it. That's what he was up against. And with his story, he should utilize and maximize his business cachet a little more. The simple fact that he overcame cancer, defeated it, knocked it out, gives him conversation in any sports apparel company. Take Lance Armstrong's spot. There's a hole there. Live strong. That could be Daniel Jacobs right there. He overcame something. He's become a middleweight champion. It's the first one in history. That's what I mean about sometimes you're in the fight game, while people like Triple G, Canelo, they're in the fight business. Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor, these guys are in the fight business. So think about that. Now to the fight. What were the judges up against? Were they going to position themselves to make two calls that was unfavorable to the fans last night? Chocolatito losing. Triple G losing. We also have to look out for the brand of the most celebrated and decorated fight venue on the planet, Madison Square Garden. Could we let that happen here? Nah. All of these things are going through judges' mind in that fight. So some of those right hooks and uppercuts that Triple G got caught with maybe overlooked. You got to remember, in a lot of people's eyesight, Daniel Jacobs won that fight. He made Triple G look like a regular middleweight who had excessive punching power, but he didn't eliminate the mystique because the entire night Triple G was still coming. He never looked like he couldn't knock Daniel Jacobs out. You watch that fight, and if you haven't, go to Master Boxing page because it's going to be up. Well, go to Master Boxing Combat Life group. I'm going to put it up. Shh, it's a private group. Okay, now, let me break this thing down. When you look at what the judges had to do, they judged the rounds on what they saw. When it was all said and done, those super close rounds, they had to give the nod to the guy who still had the mystique. They had to give the guy who had the business awareness and cachet to cross off all his T's and dot all his I's on all the other fronts of what he had to do. Now listen, for them to say no to that would be equivalent to you saying no to a Bentley being given to you for free because it had a hubcap on it. Triple G's a Bentley, a super champion. Whenever he walks into the arena, you know who the champion is. Those things aren't born on trees. It takes a lot to get to that level. One advice I would have given Daniel Jacobs, one of the most prolific defensive styles known to Midwestern fighters such as Sugar Ray Robinson, James Lights Out Tony, Bernard Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather Jr. was the rolling shoulder, the Philly shell. Every time he did knee bends, he opened up opportunity. I think he started doing it around the 4th, 5th round, open up shots, open up opportunities, more offense. See, the Philly shell, aka the rolling shoulder, aka the box, as we say over at Master Boxing, not only secures your defense, but it elevates your offensive opportunities. And every time he was in that posture, he was scoring with hard shots, uppercuts, and hooks. That is why, in my advice as a coach sitting in the corner, I would have said, this is working. Let's stick to this. Yeah, pump the jab, high and low, like Coach Rozier was saying, but at the same time, let's do what's working. Out of the southpaw stance, Philly shell, Zab Judah knew about that. Look, awesome offensive fighters, when they develop that defensive prowess and operate from that defensive stance, man, you got problems. So that would have been my advice to Jacobs while the fight was going on, not the next day. I was thinking that, I was screaming that, Jacobs, get in the Philly shell, counter the right hand that Triple G's trying to hit you with. So that's another side of me. That's Coach Bradley talking. But I do want you guys to understand this. In order to get inside of the game, you got to break bread with the people who call the shots. Ask people like Deion Sanders, Max Kellerman. There are a lot of people in the sport that can tell you, you position yourself to elevate yourself. The 33% rule, I always say, 33% of the people that you hang with should be people that you bring up, that need you, that confide in you. The other 33% of the people that you hang with should all be on your level, so you could have camaraderie with that group of people, have something in common. And the other 33% of the people should be the Bill Gates of the world, the people that are where you want to go, so you understand what it looks like to be at the billionaire round table. That's what Triple G's doing. He's making sure that not only does he have a serious business cachet, but you're not knocking off his business mystique and his mystique inside of that ring. My name is Eric A. Bradley, and I thank you guys for watching. This is Master Boxing, where we break the fight world down, baby. Round by round. Peace. Remember, next time, Daniel, step it up with that rolling shoulder. I'm sure you'll come out on top. And Triple G, congratulations for bringing that mystique to the ring. But now you're seen as a fighter. And I always tell guys, in boxing, there's no such thing as ghosts. Leave your comments down below. Who do you think won the fight? What was your score? Peace.
Defense. Good. Take it, mister. 5 layers of defense. It also gives you options whenever you're in that paint. You have to become a master of that box, aka the rolling shoulder, Philly shell. Whenever they feel your defense is on tack, they can't really do is try to throw the combo. Good work. Good defense.
We back champions! We back champions! We back champions! Right!